Hi everyone, it's time for Saturday Stories with Miss Sharon. Happy Saturday! Last week we read about Jesus fishing for men in our Laugh and Learn Bible. And he began with 12 disciples, teaching them what it would be like to have a life with him. Today's story is about Jesus giving a sermon on the side of a mountain, and it's called the Sermon on the Mount. Now in this story, Jesus is telling people the most important things about a life lived with Christ. And he begins by telling us how blessed we are by God already, and also about how we should treat others, including people who are mean to us. In fact, he talks a lot about laws and rules and what they really mean. Let's listen and find out what happened. Blessed are the poor in spirit. The kingdom of God belongs to them. Jesus was standing on a hill, and a huge crowd had gathered to hear him talk. Blessed are those who are sad. They will be comforted. Jesus was making a list, but it wasn't a kind of list that anyone had ever heard before. Blessed are those who don't put themselves first. They will receive the whole world. Jesus was listing people who didn't have much, people who were sad, people who didn't use their strength to get their own way, people who tried to make peace when other people were fighting, and probably got punched right in the jaw because of it. Jesus was listing people who usually ended up at the back of a line. Not anymore, he said. In the kingdom of God, you will be the happiest of all. Whoa. Jesus was talking about God's kingdom, where God is in control, and it sounded like an upside-down world. If you've been sad, you'll be happy. If you've been last, you'll be first. If you've tried to make peace, you will be the sons and daughters of the King of Peace, the sons and daughters of God himself. The people around Jesus couldn't believe what they were hearing. The least important people in the kingdoms of earth will be the most important people to the kingdom of God? Remember how the angels brought the message of Jesus, of his birth, not to kings and rich people, but to shepherds? Remember how Jesus was born not in a palace, but in a barn? Yep, God's kingdom is totally different from the kingdoms on earth. But Jesus wasn't finished. The law of Moses says not to kill people, he said. But I say, hating someone in your heart is just as bad. What? Hating someone is as bad as killing them? The law says people who hurt you should be punished. But I say, if someone hits you on the cheek, let them hit your other cheek too. If someone steals your shirt, give them your coat as well. What? Give my coat to someone who steals my shirt? The law says to love your neighbors, but I say you should love your enemies just as much. People got really confused. This guy is crazy, they said to each other. But Jesus wasn't crazy. Jesus was teaching them about a whole new way to live, a forever kind of life lived with God. You see, the old rules of Moses could only change what you did on the outside. They couldn't change who you are on the inside. I didn't come to make you do better things, Jesus said. I came to make you different people. I came to make you the kind of person that I am. And that kind of person doesn't need all those rules. That kind of person has a new heart. A heart that loves everyone. A heart that gives to everyone. A heart that puts other people first, always. A heart like Jesus' heart. Come to me, all you who are tired, worn out, and weighed down by the rules. I'm not here to make you follow the rules. I'm here to make you a new person. Standing on the hill that day, preaching his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus invited everyone into a new kind of life. A life that wasn't about rules, but about relationship. A life that was about a relationship with Jesus that can change us from the inside out. That's a good story. This story comes from the New Testament in the book of Matthew, chapter 5. And in this part of the Bible, we're given the Beatitudes. It's a list of descriptions of how we are already blessed by God and how we can have true happiness. And this story began with, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Now, Jesus is not really talking about money, that kind of poor. He's talking about our spirit, our faith, being teachable and humble, and knowing that God is the answer to all things, that God is the one that we should look for help in our lives. In this story, Jesus also talks about how we treat those who are unkind to us. He doesn't say get them back or get even. He says treat them with even more kindness. The Sermon on the Mount is about teaching us not to be selfish, to put God first and ourselves last, to think of the needs of others before our own. It's about a relationship, bringing ourselves and others closer to Jesus. In the Bible, it says in Matthew 5, verse 8, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." So today, talk with your family about what did Jesus come to do according to the message that he gave? If it's not about rules, what is this new life with Jesus about? And don't forget, you can read more about the Beatitudes, the rules, and the laws that Jesus spoke about in Matthew chapter 5 in your family's Bible. If you think that's a lot to remember, just ask yourself, what would Jesus do? I'll see you next week.